Hello, I'm Meryn Snare. Welcome back to Snippets on Stress. In the last snippet, I spoke about how we have two types of our own stress. We have positive stress, which is eustress, negative stress, which is distress. But within our distress, we have big S stresses and small s stresses. And I talked about how these can build up and up and up through the day until we reach our breaking point. Now, why do we reach our breaking point? As our stress is building up, and I think of this as like a stress hill, we are using our coping resources to help us manage this stress. And this is how we get by from day to day. We have a range of coping resources and we use those to manage our stress when it's kicking in. However, our coping resources also have a limit, and I think of this as the coping ceiling. Now, when your stress builds up onto the stress hill like this, it gets up as high as your coping ceiling. And when it reaches your coping ceiling, this is when you have your meltdown. This is when you burst through the ceiling and everything just seems to fall apart. So I think of this as the coping volcano. Now, you may be aware that after you've had a meltdown or you've burst through your coping ceiling, you may have had some tears and had a good old cry. And tears usually make us feel better because there's a chemical in the tears that actually helps us to feel better. So our stress levels come down and we feel some relief and we think, oh, thank goodness. But usually, rather than coming all the way back down to the calm level where we started off, very often they only come part of the way down and then our stresses start to kick in again. So we might be thinking about big S stresses and small s stresses, and they keep kicking in until once again we get to overwhelm and we have a meltdown. Now, you might notice that this coping ceiling has dropped from the previous coping ceiling. So we find that it doesn't take as many of those big S and small s stresses to kick in before we're actually having another meltdown. And this is because we haven't fully recovered from the first meltdown. And as this happens, as we have not fully recovered, our resilience has dropped, so our coping ceiling has dropped. And this pattern repeats itself. We feel better, so our stress levels go down, but once again, they don't go all the way down before they start to kick in, and our resilience level will drop even further. So the key is, when we're stressed, we really need to find that place of calm. We need to get right back down to here where we're feeling calm and relaxed. Now, how do we do this? This is all about finding the balance that we need to have in our life. We need mind-body balance. We need work-life balance. We need total balance. We need to integrate total balance into our life. We know that we can't be completely balanced all the time, but if we're having a hectic period in one part of our life, we need that to be able to balance out after a bit of time, and we need to give to ourselves. So make sure that you give yourself some time to relax and recover, to unwind after the day. It could be something as simple as sitting down with a cup of tea. If you're a reader, you might like to sit and read for half an hour. But it's about finding something that works for you, that helps you to unwind. And that way you can integrate that sense of balance into your world. Yes, we'll have busy times, but we just can't cope if it's busy all the time. We need to give ourselves some downtime. So that's your challenge. Look at what you can do. Simple daily things that give you a little bit of unwind time, and that will help you to manage these coping volcanoes. We don't want people pushing their coping resources to their very limit. We want to be able to manage the stress during the day and then come back down again before we start our next day. We don't want to be playing the game up here and allowing our resilience to completely suffer and fall away. I'm Maren Snare. I'll see you in the next snippet.